All right, welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into the staggering logistical reality behind what, on paper anyway, looks like a simple one-page peace memorandum. We hear about these massive geopolitical deals on the news all the time, but we rarely look at the terrifyingly complex, real-world mechanics required to actually execute them out on the water. So here's our quick roadmap for today. We'll hit the one-page memorandum, the crowded strait, untangling the armada, building trust and tension, and finally, global oil and superpowers. Section 1, the one-page memorandum. Let's look at what's reportedly sitting right there on this single piece of paper between the U.S. and Iran. At the heart of all this is a core political exchange. On one side, you have Iran committing not to develop a nuclear weapon, though they do retain the right to low-level uranium enrichment after a dozen years or so. And on the flip side, the U.S. commits to lifting crippling sanctions and releasing billions in frozen Iranian funds. It's essentially a classic trade-off, right? Long-term security guarantees exchanged for immediate economic relief. But actually, the most pressing detail here isn't about the uranium or the money. The real kicker is this mutual agreement. Both sides have agreed to lift transit restrictions through the Strait of Hormuz within just 30 days of signing. 30 days! In the world of massive military deployments, a month is an absolute blink of an eye. They have exactly that long to clear out one of the most vital, highly contested, and heavily armed maritime choke points on the entire planet. Section 2, the crowded strait. To really grasp why that 30-day deadline is such an insane logistical headache, we need to look at the physical reality of the strait itself. Let's start with Iran's immediate geographical edge. As retired British Army General Simon Mayall points out, Iran is the force in situ. Basically, that means they inherently hold the ground. They control the entire northern side of the strait, and crucially, they have strategic territorial depth right in their own backyard. They don't have to pack up and cross an ocean to be there, they're already home. Now, crammed right up against that Iranian territory is a literal U.S. armada. And the scale here is just staggering. We're talking 3 carrier groups, 2 Marine Expeditionary Units, somewhere between 400 and 500 aircraft in the area, plus the 82nd Airborne Division. Assembling a force of this magnitude takes a monumental amount of planning. You simply do not turn a war machine of this size around like a speedboat. It's just not going to happen. Section 3, untangling the armada. So how exactly does a military step back from the brink once it's mobilized to this extreme degree? Well, a ceasefire isn't just packing your bags and calling it a day. It's a highly coordinated, phased, logistical sequence. Step 1, you lift the immediate blockade, but your forces stay exactly where they are. Then, because your ships have been on ultra-high alert, you have to start rotating out those exhausted crews and resupplying the vessels. Only after all of that, and only when you verify the deal is absolutely binding, do you actually begin to disassemble the armada. It's like carefully taking apart a giant, very dangerous puzzle. And there's a much wider global context dictating this slow, cautious pace. The U.S. military has a massive global footprint, with major strategic commitments elsewhere, especially when it comes to keeping a close eye on China. They can't just casually disassemble this task force, move it halfway across the world, and then suddenly face a violent snapback in the strait. They literally won't vanish from the region until they are 100% certain the deal is going to hold. Section 4. Building trust in tension. This brings us to the hardest part of the entire withdrawal process. How do you actually prove the fighting has stopped? The magic phrase here is confidence-building measures. These are very specific, verifiable actions taken by both sides to reduce the fear of a sudden surprise attack. Opening the straits is arguably the biggest confidence-building measure here. It's a necessary first step to test the waters of peace, allowing external observers to come in and verify that it's safe enough for normal life and normal commerce to resume. But this trust is incredibly fragile. There are some massive complicating factors. First, you have unclear Iranian command and control. We've already seen rogue attacks by hardliners, like the incidents at Fujairah, who might not want a peaceful solution at all. A single rogue attack can instantly derail the whole shebang. Add to that highly nervous civilian shipping crews and insurance companies facing astronomical liabilities, and you can see why nobody is eager to risk their vessels just because a piece of paper got signed. And this is exactly why those external observers are so vital. It's one thing for a heavily armored warship with advanced defensive capabilities to navigate a tense ceasefire, but civilian tankers, that's a totally different ballgame. They are completely unarmed, they carry a heavy duty of care for their crews, and they represent massive financial assets. They absolutely will not move without ironclad guarantees of safety. Section 5. Global Oil and Superpowers. Let's zoom all the way out now to the big picture. Why does the movement of ships in one narrow waterway dictate the health of the global economy? Well, look at this number. $101. That was the spot price of Brent crude oil shortly after news of this potential memorandum broke. It had started the day at $108. In just a matter of hours, purely based on the announcement of potentially unblocking the strait, the price plummeted. It really goes to show just how hypersensitive global markets, and honestly, the price you pay at the gas pump, are to the free flow of traffic through this specific choke point. But there is a massive catch here, and I absolutely love this quote from General Naval. He points out that oil travels around the world at about the speed of a bicycle. It perfectly captures the crazy contrast between the lightning speed of financial market speculation and the painfully slow physical reality of maritime logistics. Even if the strait opens today, there's going to be a massive lag time before those tankers actually reach their destinations. The world is going to feel that gap in supply for quite a while. This brings us to the ultimate geopolitical chessboard. You have the U.S. needing to shift its strategic focus towards China while simultaneously trying to manage Iranian social unrest without sparking a full-blown war. On the other side, you have China, whose economy is deeply, deeply dependent on oil flowing through maritime sea lanes that are currently dominated by the U.S. military. So when leaders from these superpowers hold discussions, it is happening entirely in the shadow of this one waterway. Ultimately, the big takeaway here is that reopening the Strait of Hormuz is merely step one. It's an absolutely vital confidence-building measure for sure, but the withdrawal of that armada is just the opening move in a tremendously complicated geopolitical negotiation. Deals on nuclear capabilities, ballistic missiles, and proxy forces, all of that still awaits resolution. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final thought to chew on. When you look at the economics, the sheer scale of the armadas, and the global dependency involved, is the Strait of Hormuz really just a shipping lane? Or is it actually the very fulcrum of modern superpower dominance? Thanks for joining me, and keep questioning what's behind the headlines.